Okay, so today we're going to talk about the BPI, which is a balanced power inflator connected to the intermediate pressure supply from the first stage of your regulator. Supplies whatever gas you've hooked your regulator up to via the cylinder valve, and you can inflate and of course deflate with this balanced power inflator. Over here, guys, you can see the schematic. The schematic is of course named and it has a breakdown of all of the components. Each component has a number which you can read on this side here, and then you can see the part number of that component, which means if you ever need something, you can of course really easily order this part, and I find item 30 and it's a spring, that's the part number, and you write in and ask for it. But this gives you a great idea of what's inside the balanced power inflator before you go to disassemble it. Please be aware that disassembling, these are essentially life-saving, life-enabling equipment which we use in hostile environments like under the ocean. You need proper training from a factory technician. You don't just go and pull this apart after watching this video. This is to inform you of what's inside, and also as a reminder to technicians that we've trained how to go about it. Maybe you've not done it for a few months and you want to have a bit of a refresh. You'll get a service kit as well. On the back of your service kit, you'll have the size chart of all of the O-rings. So when you can see the O-ring, here's number 6. Number 6 says O-ring 01050138. Then you can come over here and you can find that O-ring, and you can see it there, 0105000138. And then you'll be able to size it, and you'll know that that's the right O-ring, and you can install it then into your BPI. Okay, so actually these are pretty simple. The gas comes in from the intermediate pressure hose. It comes through this quick disconnect, actually, which you'll remember as divers, you've used this from the hose, and you can plug it on to your balanced power inflator. I'll do another video after this showing you how to take care of the quick disconnect as well. Really simply, you've got 2 buttons. You need to take the back doors off both of them, clean them up, change the O-rings, and assemble them in the correct order again. Okay, so if we can start nice and easy, we can use our 12mm spanner, and we can take off our quick disconnect nipple here, and what you'll see is that there's actually a metal fitting, and it's going into a metal thread. There's actually an inserted metal thread in there that makes this connection very, very strong. It's very, very strong, guys. This is Delrin, so a form of polyurethane plastic. There's no possibility of us threading in our metal quick disconnect nipple and threading it out and then having to throw this away. This is a metal to metal, super strong connection. Okay, so that's taken out. There's actually supposed to be an O-ring in here, so as this is a training piece, there's no O-ring, someone's left it out. There should be an O-ring on there. We'll find that a bit later. Then you've got your inflator button, so we can take our slider tool here. Take our slider tool, use the back end, and take out the back door here. Okay. I'll just get my schematics over here, guys. Take off the back door. Now you can see the back door is going to have an O-ring on it. Like so. So you can take this off, white stripe O-ring, and put that to one side. Now you can see the the travel of the button. The button's on these 3 guides. If you can see here, 3 guides. So it won't move, won't spin around and around. And then this is actually our rear O-ring is set in this housing. So I'm going to take my screwdriver, like this, and I'm actually pushing down because of the spring inside. I'm pushing down and spinning my screwdriver. So now that's off. And now I can release it, and what you'll see is that the whole button assembly comes off. Okay. So now, if I'm going to release the washer, so I'll take the washer off, and I can take off my inflation spring, and I'm left with my inflation button. I just leave that to the side for a moment while I take out the other side of my inflation button, which has a housed O-ring. You can see that goes onto the button like so. So then, of course, I can go ahead and I can take out the O-ring. Oh. There we go. So obviously we're going to install a new O-ring in here. If you're not going to, just pulling it apart and cleaning it, putting it together. Be really careful using your O-ring pick, not to damage it, clean it, then you can lube, put it back together. And the same here, guys, is I'm taking my button and take off the O-ring. Okay. So that's the inflation side done. This inflation, if you zoom in on here on the schematics, you can see that the inflation side has number 15 is an O-ring, number 15 is an O-ring. They're both the same O-ring. These 2 inflation O-rings, they're both the same. They're both the same on the schematic. And you can also see they've got a sort of a square or a diamond next to them. That means that they're an annual replacement part. You can see in the legend at the bottom. Annual replacement. So now that the inflate's done, we'll move on to the deflate side. Same thing as we take the slider tool, take out the rear door, like so. This time we're going to use our 5.5mm socket. So push down on the housing against the spring, take out the nut, and then you'll see we can take off again the button. This time you'll see that there's an O-ring, and then the washer, and then the spring. You can inspect the button to make sure that there's no corrosion, send that for washing. And then now you can see, guys, on the other side of the button, oops, we've got our deflate seal, and we've got a washer. Now the washer is actually going to go on the top of the button here, which I'll show you on the disassembly here. And then this seal you'll actually see has a larger and a smaller diameter. You can see smaller diameter, larger diameter. Yeah. So make sure that the small diameter goes onto the door side. You can see that seats, that seals. Well, I made it seal really well. Yeah. The large side won't seal. That's to enable you to completely seal it off and to orally inflate without pushing lots of seawater into your jacket. Actually. Okay. So that's on the reassembly. Now our housing's completely free. You can clean it all up, scrub it up, and start getting it dried and ready for reassembly. So you can see here we're going to start reassembling again. 23 is an annual replacement. It's got that diamond. 23 is the 126. So what you have to do is when you get your kit, you need to find that you've got O-ring 126 there, and make sure you install the correct O-ring. for the job. You can see the O-ring that came out of here is actually not a 126, I don't think. That looks to me like a 317, perhaps. That's pretty close. Yeah. Or a 117. So it's not the right O-ring. So I'll just go and find the correct O-ring. So we've got the right O-ring here, guys. You can see it's the white stripe 126 O-ring here. Okay. So we're going to install that. So we're going to take our deflate button, put on our spring, put on our washer. Okay. Then get our O-ring, some Cristo lube on here. There we go. Alright, so that in properly. There we go. So this O-ring fits pretty well onto the chrome plated deflate button shaft. So now I can get the button turned around. I'm going to push the button on. You see there's two guides here, so they're going to run into the button guide here. So I'm going to push this down, and then the O-ring will be in its bed. The O-ring will be in its bed here. So the O-ring's in its bed, the guides are in. Now I'm going to drop my washer on. Okay. Then remember I had the smaller side out on the deflate seal. Then I'm going to put on my nut here, 5.5 socket, and nip it up, not too tight, just enough to it's just a nip. So tighten it up, nip, and that's done. This is our rear door. It doesn't need any lube, so put that on and then tighten up with the slider tool. Okay, check it. Good. So now we can get our deflate side ready. So we've got our deflate button. Now we need to put two O-rings in on this side for the actual inflator button, and one for the door. So a little bit of lube on the door O-ring. It's a static O-ring, which means it doesn't move. These O-rings are dynamic because you're moving them up and down. So we put a little bit more lube on them. Push the lube in. Okay. Now it's pretty easy putting the O-ring on the securing nut. It's ready. Now here's your inflator. So you can slide it down with your fingers, as you can see I've done to here, and then you can just pop it over the ridge there. Okay, so a little bit of extra lube on here, there. Alright, so remember we had our spring, and remember we had our washer. Yeah, so now that's ready to go. Now, there's also the guides, same as the deflate had the two pins. Inflate's got three guides. It's on the side of the button here. So ready to go here. We slide our button in. See, it's in the guides there now. So now we're pushing it down, like so, and then take our button retainer and our screwdriver, screw it down. Same thing, nip it up, not too tight, and that's working. So both working then. Okay, put the door on. Put a little bit of lube on here, not too much. Go backwards first and hear the click. Yeah. Then you go in, you'll never strip anything out. If you always go backwards to start a thread. Nice and easy. Then find the O-ring for this. Lube the O-ring a lot. Lube the threads as well. Put it in, and then 12 mil, nice and tight. And that's it. So you can sort of test it by blowing. And also the deflate, you can test. So seemingly it seems to be fine. So of course, really simple, really fast to do, and pull it apart, clean it quickly. You don't actually have to replace any parts. You can just clean it. It'll always work perfectly. You'll never have a stuck button. You'll never have a leak from your low pressure side. Use your schematics. They'll show you always how to put it together. Again, and please stay within your training. Good.
Yes.
What?
Great.
Okay, so we've done a BPI video recently. Now we're going to look at the QD, which is a quick disconnect. Quick disconnect fits onto the BPI, like so. So it's really simple, good to service at the same time as the BPI. You actually take the quick disconnect off from your BCD with a spanner that you can use, a 15mm spanner, and you can use your universal tool on the hose, break them apart, and then this will be separate. So if you ever want to change a hose, you can just keep the same QD. So we've got one here that's already separate, really simple. There's only two components that you really should be taking care of inside. One of them's the Schrader valve, and then there's an O-ring. So if I take out my Schrader valve is actually very similar to something that's inside the tires of your car or bike. So you can see this tool here has a wedge taken out of it. So I slide it into the front, feel around, now it's locked, and then I open it up. You can see it's actually turning. It's turning in there. So I take my Schrader valve out. So you might have seen this before. You can see the way it acts, and that's by pushing the Schrader valve onto the top of the BPI. It opens up that, so the gas can flow through. Now there's going to be a hole. There's going to be a hole in the BPI, which you can see. Okay. Next thing is there's an O-ring in here. So you take your O-ring pick and you actually slide it down flat, and then you need to go in flat and then hook the O-ring like this. Okay, it's magical how this one comes out. Putting it back in is the trick. So you take it out. Now we're going to clean it up. There's some balls and a spring inside here. You can see the spring. Yeah, we don't take any of that apart. The best you can do is you can clean it in hot soapy water. You can put it into a very, very light acid solution. Anything less than 10% is good, as you would have learned in your factory training. If you have not been trained by a Scubapro factory technician trainer, please don't do this. Please send it to your local authorized dealer or service center for them to do it for you. This is more of a refresher for current technicians to remember how to do things. So And we take our own, we get a new O-ring as well. Good to change these every year or so. We can put some lube on it so it is nice and free. And then what we do is you actually push the O-ring in the top of the QD. Yeah. Now here's where it gets interesting. There's different techniques. I use the brass tool and actually push it in. Now you need to be able to see for this part. So excuse me while I try and see what I'm doing. So I'll just use the other brass tool sometimes as well. This one's a little fiddly. It's a little fiddly, guys. But once you get there, it works really well. There we go. Okay, so it is a bit fiddly. Sometimes you get it in 5 seconds, sometimes it's 5 minutes. That's just the way it is. So you can test it actually by putting it onto the QD. So you can see it's fitting there and sealing. So now I've tested it. Now with my Schrader valve, I can take a new Schrader valve, put a little bit of lube onto the threads, and then put my Schrader valve here, right onto my tool, and I'm going to insert the Schrader valve, go backwards, listen for the click, click. Now I can go in, you can see it going in, and I don't thread it, tighten it up, now it's ready to go. Brand new service, nice and clean. If you think that the balls are a little bit tough and it's hard to pull back, you can use a bit of silicone spray. I can have another video of that. But that's now service ready to go on the hose. Put a little bit of lube on the hose, and the hose will have, of course, an O-ring on it as well.